Today's lesson is Vancouver Island, Canada's West Coast paradise. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And my name is Helen.
And today we're going to travel to Canada. And, of course, Canada is a very large country, but we're going to specifically be visiting Vancouver Island, which isn't the same as Vancouver City, is it?
No, Vancouver Island is an island, and it's located on the west coast, so it's above Washington State in reference to the United States. I have never been there myself, but evidently it's very beautiful. That's what a lot of people say, people who have been there, and it's one place that I would really like to visit one day.
Me too. I'd like to go there again. I was there when I was a kid on a family trip out to the west of Canada there. But again, it's an important distinction there. Vancouver City is on the mainland of British Columbia, Canada, whereas Vancouver Island is an island by itself, and the main town there is Victoria, which we'll talk about as our lesson continues. And, you're getting this story straight from the horse's mouth because our writer is actually Canadian, so she knows what she's talking about when she talks about Vancouver Island. So let's go there. Let's check out Vancouver Island, Canada's West Coast paradise. We'll listen now to the first part.
Vancouver Island, Canada's West Coast paradise. Located just off British Columbia's mainland, Vancouver Island is one of Canada's best-kept secrets. This West Coast paradise is filled with historic buildings, outdoor adventures, and charming small towns.
So located just off British Columbia's mainland, Vancouver Island is one of Canada's best-kept secrets. So we start off by talking about where Vancouver Island is located. So it's located just off British Columbia's mainland. Mainland refers to the large piece of land that forms the main part of a country that does not include any islands that belong to it. So another example would be if we were talking about Australia, we have the mainland part of the country of Australia, and then Australia also has islands. For instance, Tasmania. Tasmania is an island that belongs to Australia, but it's not part of the mainland.
Exactly. So, of course, we've got the province of British Columbia there in Canada, and then Vancouver Island is just off of the mainland of British Columbia, or just off the mainland of North America, if you will. And Vancouver Island is one of Canada's best-kept secrets. So there are lots of places people go to in Canada. They go to Toronto, they go to Montreal, they go to Manitoba and Saskatchewan and Alberta and places like that, but they don't really hardly ever travel to Vancouver Island. Of course, they go to Vancouver City, but this is a place that people usually don't get to. It's one of Canada's best-kept secrets, and if you talk about a place that's a best-kept secret, it's like a place that's great that not a lot of people know about, and that's probably why you want to go there, so you can avoid all those crowds of tourists.
Yes, so best kept secret is a phrase that you will often hear when you're talking about a specific travel destination. For instance, if I wanted to go to Paris, let's say I've never been to Paris, I might ask someone, do you know of any restaurants I can go to besides the ones that are in all of the tour books and all of the travel programs? Somebody might say, well, you might want to go to this little cafe that's in a hidden alley. Not many people know about it, only locals do. So it's one of Paris's best-kept secrets.
So here, if you're in Canada and you're sick of Toronto and Montreal and Vancouver, hey, you should go check out this place because it's one of Canada's best-kept secrets. This West Coast paradise is filled with historic buildings, outdoor adventures, and charming small towns. So this gives us a little introduction to Vancouver Island. It's a paradise. It's got lots of historic buildings there, lots of things to do outside, and lots of charming small towns to check out and go for a stroll. And while you're there, you could probably have some Nanaimo bars.
Yep, that's very, very sweet. So if you want something very sweet, that's definitely something that you should try out.
Indeed. Well, let's continue now with the next part of our lesson, and we'll find out more about Vancouver Island.
The island's largest city and the provincial capital, Victoria, is where most visitors begin their island adventure. Victoria's inner harbor acts as a tourist hub, with a huge array of attractions located within walking distance. From the harbor, you'll spot the Fairmont Empress, a grand hotel with over 100 years of history, and the Parliament buildings, whose facade is illuminated with an outline of lights every evening. Another must-see is the Butchart Gardens, a 55-acre park that is recognized as a National Historic Site of Canada. Besides strolling around the carefully designed gardens, visitors can also ride a carousel featuring hand-carved animals and chariots, or take a boat tour to admire the park from the water.
大家好，第二部分我们看到单字 array， 这个字是名词，指一大群、许多不同的东西。常用 an array of 加名词表示众多或是大量的点点点。例如Inside Jessica's closet was an astonishing array of shoes in all styles and colors. Jessica 的壁橱里有各种款式和颜色的鞋子，令人瞠目结舌。或是 There was an array of different toys on sale at the department store. 百货公司里有一系列不同的玩具在特价。再来我们看到名词 acre 指英亩。例如 My mother owns 144 acres of land in Texas.And she raises horses there. 我妈妈在德州拥有144英亩的土地，她在那边养马。接下来我们看到动词 stroll， 表示闲逛或是散步。例如 Thomas strolled along the riverbank with his girlfriend. Thomas 和他女朋友沿着河堤散步。或是 Ellen likes to stroll through the park with her husband after dinner each night. Ellen 喜欢每天在晚餐过后和他先生在公园散步。另外 stroll 当作名词时也有散步的意思，常见用法为 take a stroll. Take, T-A-K-E, take a stroll. 像是 The elderly couple took a stroll in the park to celebrate their anniversary. 这对年长的伴侣在公园散步，庆祝他们的周年纪念。或者 I took my dog on a stroll through the park on Sunday afternoon. 我礼拜天下午带着我的狗去公园散步。
The island's largest city and the provincial capital, Victoria, is where most visitors begin their island adventure. So the largest city of Vancouver Island is Victoria, and this city is also the provincial capital. So provincial here refers to something that is related to a province, which is one of the areas into which some countries are divided. So Canada is divided into provinces. The United States, for instance, is not. The United States is divided into states. So here, when we are talking about Canada, we might talk about the different provinces of Canada. And in the case of this particular place, Vancouver Island, the provincial capital is Victoria.
Exactly. So that's how they divide their territories up in Canada into provinces. Now, Victoria's inner harbor acts as a tourist hub with a huge array of attractions located within walking distance. So if you talk about a hub, you're talking about the middle of a place, just like on a wheel where all the spokes are attached. That's the hub. That's the middle. So a tourist hub basically is where most of the tourist attractions are. So I guess in Taiwan, the tourist hub would be in Taipei here, and then people branch out and go to other places like Kending or Hualien or the Central Mountain Range.
Right, or you can even say Taipei Main Station is Taipei's transportation hub, because from there you can take the train, you can take the bus, you can take the taxi to get where you want to go. Now, Victoria's inner harbor has a huge array of attractions located within walking distance. So it has a lot of attractions, but here the word array is used, and array basically means a large group of things that are related in some way. So they're related here in the sense that they are all attractions, but they are also different from one another. So if I go into a store, I might see a huge array of t-shirts. So they're all t-shirts, but they come in different colors and in different designs, and that's how the word array can be used.
It's a large amount of something, and they're all arranged there for you to see and to have access to. So there is an array of attractions within walking distance of that tourist hub, which of course is the inner harbor of Victoria. Now, from the harbor, you'll spot the Fairmont Empress, which is a grand hotel with over 100 years of history. And you'll also spot the Parliament buildings, whose facade is illuminated with an outline of lights every evening, so that's quite a sight to see. So you've got a really nice hotel there to check out. You might even want to stay there. And then nearby is the Parliament buildings. Of course, that's where the government is there. Parliament is just like the Congress, the legislative yuan here in Taiwan.
So the Parliament building has a facade that is illuminated with an outline of lights. So the word facade refers to the front of a building, usually a building that is very impressive and large. And this facade is lit up with lights every evening. Another must-see is the Butchart Gardens, a 55-acre park that is recognized as a National Historic Site of Canada. So these gardens are quite large. They are 55 acres. And here, acre is a unit for measuring the surface area of land. And we don't use acres here in Taiwan or in Europe. I think the United States is the only or one of few countries in the world that uses the measuring unit acre. But in any case, 55 acres, that's how big the gardens are.
It's pretty big, and so it's recognized as a National Historic Site of Canada. And besides strolling around the carefully designed gardens, visitors can also ride a carousel featuring hand-carved animals and chariots, or take a boat tour to admire the park from the water. So yes, indeed, you can stroll around, you can walk leisurely through this park and check out all the different plants and flowers and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of you are into that sort of thing. And besides doing that, in addition to doing that, you can also do some other things. You can take a ride on the carousel, which is also sometimes called a merry-go-round, where it spins around and there are horses on there. And in this particular case, the animals, the horses or other animals, are hand-carved. They're not made from molded plastic in a factory somewhere. They're actually hand-carved by artisans who are very skilled at carving. And they also have chariots there, which are small carts that you can sit in if you get dizzy riding on the horses going up and down. And in addition to that, you can also take a boat tour to look at the park from the water. You can admire the park and go, oh, that is so cool, especially when we're in this boat here.
Right. So these chariots, they're just little carts that you can sit in on the merry-go-round or on the carousel. But traditionally, a chariot is a car, a vehicle that is pulled by horses that was once used in races and in battles, such as in ancient Roman times.
Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's move on to the third part, and we'll listen to it first.
The east coast of Vancouver Island is dotted with charming small towns. One of the quaintest is Coombs, a tiny village famous for the goats that live on the grassy roof of its old country market. After you've seen the goats, shop for local food and souvenirs at the market, or choose from 70 flavors of ice cream at the popular Billy Gruff Creamery.
(第三部分我们看到片语 be dotted with， 意思是布满着或是星罗棋布着点点点。举例来说 In addition to the central police station, there are many smaller police stations dotted around the city. 除了警察总局，还有许多规模较小的警局遍布在市区各处。又或者说 The city skyline was dotted with lights as the sun set and darkness fell. 太阳下山，黑夜降临时，这座城市的天际线布满着灯光。另外补充这个片语中的单字 dot， 这个字是动词，指散布于……我们可以说 Numerous small farms dot the countryside， 乡间散布许许多多的小农场。最后我们看到名词 souvenir， 指纪念品。例如 Penny got Alice a snow globe as a souvenir from Norway。 Penny 送 Alice 一个挪威买的雪花球作为纪念品。或是 Every time Devin goes on a business trip, he picks up a souvenir for his wife. Devin 每次出差时都会挑选一个纪念品给他太太。
So now let's take a look at the east coast of Vancouver Island. It says here in this last part that the east coast of Vancouver Island is dotted with charming small towns. So the east coast of Vancouver Island has a lot of charming small towns, but they're not all bunched together. They're not located within a close vicinity of each other. We know that because the phrase is dotted with is used. So to be dotted with means to have in many different areas of a particular place. I could say, for instance, if I wanted to describe once again Paris, that Paris is dotted with many elegant and chic cafes, which means that you can find elegant and chic cafes all over Paris.
Like if you were to look at a map and you see all these little dots there, it indicates that there are a lot of these things in a certain place, and they are maybe a little distance from each other, but they are quite numerous. And so, yes, indeed, the east coast of Vancouver Island is dotted with lots of small towns that are very charming. Oh, this is such a nice little town. We should get out and go for a stroll. Now, one of the quaintest is Coombs, a tiny village famous for the goats that live on the grassy roof of its old country market. Quaint, of course, means it's very special. It's got lots of old houses. It's like out of a fairy tale or something like that. It's very quaint. It's very special. You could say it's charming. And this, of course, is the superlative of the form of the adjective here. Quaint, quainter, quaintest.
Right, and you can use quaint to describe something that is attractive in an old-fashioned way. So if you go to my grandmother's house, then you might say that it's a very quaint little house because it has some antique pieces, furnishing lying around, and it has very old wooden floor and some old wallpaper. So it might sound like it's not very attractive, but in another sense, you can also describe this house as being quaint. So another very special thing about Coombs is that there are goats living on the grassy roof of the old country market. So you can see goats living on the roof of a market, of a structure. And after you've seen the goats, shop for local food and souvenirs. So that's another activity that you can do at this old country market.
Yep, goats are those animals with the horns that like to eat all sorts of things. And some people drink goat's milk. It's actually quite tasty. So yeah, you can check out those goats, and they like to climb on cliffs and stuff like that. In this particular case, they live on the roof of that old country market. So yes, go check out those goats, take pictures with them, and then you can shop for local food. And you can also get some souvenirs, maybe a keychain or some postcards or something like that. And you can get those souvenirs at the market. Or you could also have some ice cream at the popular Billy Gruff Creamery. So you can choose from 70 flavors of ice cream. So if you're a big fan of goats, check out Coombs and check out the Billy Gruff Creamery. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分有一个句子写到 From the harbor, you'll spot the Fairmont Empress, a grand hotel with over 100 years of history, and the Parliament buildings, whose facade is illuminated with an outline of lights every evening. 好，这个句子看起来好长，好像很复杂，不过它其实只是要表达 From the harbor, you'll spot the Fairmont Empress and the Parliament buildings. 从港口望去，你会看到皇后酒店和议会大厦。只是呢，课文在 the Fairmont Empress 后面接了同位语，去补充皇后酒店是一间拥有超过100年历史的宏伟饭店，并且呢，它又在 the Parliament buildings 后面接了关系子句，来补充说明议会大厦的外墙每天晚上都会被灯光的轮廓照亮。好，那这两个补充说明的部分呢，都是有用逗号把它跟主要子句隔开的。就算你把这两个补充部分拿掉，也不会影响到句子的完整性哦。好，那我们就顺便来学习同位语以及 whose 引导关系子句的非限定用法。首先，同位语呢，通常会摆在名词或是名词片语的后面来做补充说明。那在句子里面呢，要用逗号把同位语跟句子隔开。举例来说， Her favorite artist is ALL+, a Taiwanese singer. 她最喜欢的艺人是 ALL+, 是一位台湾的歌手。那么句子里面这个 a Taiwanese singer 就是同位语咯，用来补充说明 ALL+ 是台湾歌手嘛。那这时候这个同位语就要用逗号，特别把它隔开。好，接着来介绍的是 whose 引导关系子句的非限定用法。whose 当所有格关系代名词的时候呢，后面要接名词去表达说先行词的什么什么东西。好，那当先行词是特定明确的对象时，我们就不用限定范围啦，所以就是要用非限定用法。whose 引导关系子句的功能只是要去补充说明先行词而已。那这时候我们把这个补充说明的关系子句用逗号把它跟主要子句隔开。好，像课文里面这个先行词 the Parliament buildings 后面它接 whose facade 就是指说议会大厦的外墙。那么 whose facade is illuminated with an outline of lights every evening 就是要对议会大厦做补充说明。那这部分我们就用逗号把它隔开了。好，我们来看个例句哦。Veronica, whose father is a famous lawyer, comes from a rich family. Veronica 来自一个富裕的家庭，她的爸爸是个有名的律师。那我们句子里面其实它的主要子句就是 Veronica comes from a rich family。我们中间只是多加了关系子句 whose father is a famous lawyer 来补充说明 Veronica 的爸爸是个有名的律师。这时候它的前后就是要用逗号跟主要子句隔开了。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Mainland. After spending 2 days on the island, we returned to the mainland. Provincial. This document outlines the main duties of the provincial government. Array. When I entered the recording studio, I saw an array of expensive equipment. Parliament. The bill was brought before Parliament in July 2019. Stroll. Kay strolled along the beach, watching the waves crash against the shore. Souvenir. Reese went shopping for souvenirs while he was in Tokyo.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you enjoyed reading along with us. I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.